He was on the mic for Fox Sports for the Jets-Jaguars game. He is a Super Bowl champion multiple times over. Our friend Mark Schlereth back here on the Rich Eisen Show. Good to see you, Mark. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Rich. Good to be with you, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, the instant reaction today is the Bills are going to the Super Bowl. Would you agree with an assessment like that, Mark?
Yeah, no, I would. I mean, offensively, you look at what Josh Allen is doing, and I think we were all, I mean, everybody was to a point going, oh, listen, the Bills, they lost Stephon Diggs, Gabriel Davis, we're going to get passing game from. And, you know, as I kind of assess what went on in the offseason, I was like, hey, listen, more balance is going to be better for Josh Allen. You know, more relying on, you know, your offensive line, your running game, you know, spreading the wealth, spreading the ball around. So that's what I had thought going into the season, but I couldn't have even predicted what they're doing right now as an offense. And 8 different times, I think, so far this season, they've scored 30 points. I think 8 games in a row where they've scored 30 points. The teams that have done that, the greatest show on turf, Rams, the Patriots did it in 2007, 2010. The 2013 Broncos did that, and now the Bills, and I might be missing one, but there haven't been many teams that have done that over the course of time. So amazing what they're able to accomplish right now, and Josh Allen clearly cementing himself as the league MVP.
That said, though, there's no question in my mind. I think he has cemented that. I would agree with that. The other hand here is the fact that there's a 2-time defending Super Bowl champ that is 2 games clear of them in the standings despite having lost to them. And the general sense is that the Chiefs have been lucky as well as good to the point where they go into Cleveland and finally have a game in which they don't have to hold on to the bitter end, but they emerge from that with us wondering if Mahomes has a high ankle sprain, and now that you can add to this mix the log of their best player isn't healthy enough for them to three-peat. What's your standing on the Chiefs question entering Week 16, Mark?
Yeah, I think all those things are true, right? They've been lucky. They've been fortunate. They've gotten calls. They've blocked field goals. They've done it a myriad of different ways. And so you feel like, yeah, there's a certain amount of luck involved. But listen, my dad, who my college roommates fondly nicknamed Poolside, my dad's a freak show. And so like every time we went to a game, University of Idaho, you know, we'd always stay at some Holiday Inn or whatever, and they had the pool in the middle there, you know.
Of course. Yes.
My dad would be between 2 lawn chairs doing push-ups. So my college teammates nicknamed him Poolside. Everybody calls him Poolside. He's a freak show, 85 years old, still on the roof of his house in Alaska shoveling snow. But he always used to say this to me, Rich. He would say, luck has a smell of perspiration. And the harder I work, the luckier I seem to be. And the Chiefs just find a way to get things done. They are that talented. They are that good. You're 100% right about Mahomes. If Mahomes goes down, who knows what this Chief team truly is. But I'm telling you, they are formidable. There's no question. He's got the ankle sprain. We saw it yesterday in that fourth quarter. Part of my question is, when you're up 21-0, why are you still throwing the ball? You know, like there seems to be this aversion, like to Andy Reid of running the football and eating things up. Like, I'm going to win the way I want to win. And I said this as a criticism when they lost the Super Bowl several years ago to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're averaging 7 yards a carry, but that's not good enough. We're going to we're going to throw the freaking ball every chance we get. And you've had a history this year of not being able to protect your quarterback. You're on your 4th offensive left tackle in this game, and yet you're still throwing it with the lead. I really don't understand that philosophy from Andy Reid, and he's a great coach, Hall of Famer to be sure, but there are some times where I just completely disagree with the way he calls a game.
The delivery of Stinking Truth right there from the host of the Stinking Truth podcast from Fox Sports, Mark Schlereth, here on the Rich Eisen Show. The narrative as well today about the Lions, I believe, there's a little bit of a sprinkle of Dan Campbell is too risky. That onside kick attempt with 11 minutes and 55 seconds to go blew up in their face. But it was difficult for them to be stopping the Lions to stop the Bills all day anyway. But the one that I think is lasting now with the news that just popped as we started talking. My friend and our friend Adam Schefter reporting that there's an MCL injury for David Montgomery, and the Lions might be without him for the rest of the season. And we already know how banged up they are on defense. The narrative is that the Lions, 12 wins might be the high water mark in the very long run here because they don't have the horses to win it all right now. Mark, what do you say to that?
Yeah. I would say offensively, they still can win it all. They're still that good, even without David Montgomery, and hopefully, he heals up enough to be ready for a playoff stretch. But I think offensively, they can win it. They've got a really good offensive line. They can be a very physical run team. They've got all kinds of talent, so they can beat you with a finesse game. They run that, the trick plays and doing all that. I think the biggest thing is you've got an identity on the defensive side of the ball, and that identity has been playing a ton of man coverage. They lead the league as far as the number of man coverage that they play. At almost 50% of the time, they're playing man-to-man. They're bringing pressure. They're doing all those things. And at some point with the injuries, I think 13 different guys injured right now on the defensive side, majority of those guys on IR. I think at some point you have to decide we can't play this way anymore. And certainly some of the calls that Dan Campbell makes, you talk about the onside kick. A week ago, he had 5 fourth down attempts, converted 4 of them. But if you're going to continue to struggle on the defensive side of the ball with injuries, at some point you're going to have to play some zone. You're going to have to get out of that man-to-man coverage. You're going to have to make people dink and dunk the ball down the football field and at least use up time, and then use time on the offensive side of the ball. So if an average game is about 12 possessions with, making teams drive the long way, dink and dunk down the football field, and then possessing the ball, running the ball, doing the things you do on offense, then you would have to think, can we get them down to 9 possessions? Can we get them down to 8 possessions so we can kind of bail out our defense? I think you have to start kind of changing the philosophical approach that you've had to football all season long, which is hard to do, but I think you have to do that because of the injury issues you have on the defensive side of the ball.
Mark Schlereth here on the Rich Eisen Show. Man, so many different ways to go with you here on this one. Let's talk Broncos, man. I mean, when Sean Payton turned Russell Wilson into the largest dead cap quarterback in the history or player in the history of the National Football League, drafts Bo Nix, the 6th and final first-round drafted quarterback. Did you see 9 wins through 14 games coming? They're 9-5 right now, and they're going for the 6th seed right now. They were the 6th seed. They're going for the 5 seed. I mean, this is really remarkable what I'm seeing out of Denver, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this subject, Mark.
It is remarkable. And I told everybody who would listen to me, pound the over, that Vegas had them at 5.5. And I said, pound the over. They're going to win a lot more than 5 games, 5.5 games. But I really didn't see them pressing deep for a playoff run. I really didn't. And you think about it. Now, in regards to Bo Nix, and I had many, many conversations with Sean Payton about Bo Nix, long conversations. He was their guy from day one. And they did an extensive search on all these guys, or research on all these guys, and meetings with all these guys. And you could pretty much take Caleb Williams off the chart because they knew he was going to Chicago. But there is no question that Bo Nix was the number one choice of Sean Payton. He was his guy from day one. There wasn't a quarterback that he would have taken over Bo Nix. I can confirm that. I guarantee you that was the case. Now, they are winning the way they're winning. Defensively, they played great, and their defense really bailed them out over the course of early in the season. And even yesterday, to some degree, their defense and special teams really won them that football game. But I'm telling you right now, think about this. They are doing this with no semblance of a running game. Their running game is beyond atrocious. And yet they've put it all on the shoulders of a rookie quarterback and say, hey, dude, if we're going to win, it's going to be on your legs and your arm. And they're doing it with, rookie receivers and no real tight end to speak of that's putting up any yardage. And, one guy that they can really count on in Cortland Sutton. And they're putting that all on the shoulders of Bo Nix going, go win us a game. And yesterday, he threw 3 picks early and yet still found a way to throw 3 touchdowns late and stay in that game and what looked like it was going to be an Indianapolis Colt runaway until they dropped the touchdown over. I'm sorry, the running back names escapes me, but they dropped the touchdown as he's going over to take a lead 20-7, and the rest is history. Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor. Yep.
Yeah, it just is remarkable what they've been able to accomplish with a rookie quarterback and zero run game to speak of.
It really is incredible. And what insight do you have on what Sean Payton's doing with Bo Nix? What can you tell me as to you said he didn't want anybody other than him. Obviously, he wasn't going to get Caleb or Jaden Daniels or Drake May anyway, too far down the draft order.
Right.
But what has he been able to affect to get this kid up to speed here so significantly?
Well, one, he was like, from all the guys, just an A+ when it comes to his understanding of football junkie. And, they give him essentially a large portion of a game plan to digest, and they don't give it to him until like 5 o'clock in the evening, and they're meeting with him the next morning at 7 or whatever. And, most guys have some of the concepts down and some of the verbiage down. Like Bo Nix recited the whole thing. Like, it was just unbelievable to them how much of it he knew, understood, could regurgitate the language. He already knew the language. Like, it was like A+ from a learning aspect. And then some other things that were probably under the radar. The guy never fumbled in college. I mean, he never put a ball on the ground at Oregon. So there was that. Unbelievably difficult to sack. Super quick release. And, we get into so many, like, I get this all the time at the Combine. You do a phenomenal job at the Combine.
Thanks, pal.
Right? When you cover the Combine, you do a phenomenal job, Rich. But I hear it all the time from, draft gurus and experts. Arm talent. Well, he doesn't have supreme arm talent. Arm talent is the most overrated thing. How many times have you ever seen a quarterback in the National Football League unleash one from 65 or for 65 yards? Doesn't happen. A deep ball comes down about 42 to 47 yards. It's off a 5-step drop because receivers can outrun the quarterback. So the only time you see a 65-yard or a 60-yard pass in the air is when you're throwing a Hail Mary twice a year. Like, it's one of the stupidest things I ever hear year in and year out about how to evaluate a quarterback. Being on time with the football. And I would argue that you can't be accurate with the football unless you're on time. And Bo Nix was on time, accurate with the football, quick release, incredibly hard to sack. And that's what really intrigued Sean Payton about Bo Nix is that dude does not take a sack. He gets rid of the football and is incredibly accurate and quick delivery on time with the football.
Mark Schlereth here on the Rich Eisen Show. When you were winning your championships, I'm just wondering the locker room and the relationships, because the Eagles they remind me of the Bronx Zoo a little bit, man, of my youth in the 70s. Like, they're not happy unless they're arguing with each other, and that might actually make them better. I mean, the whole business with A.J. Brown and the passing game and whatever, and then the passing game, he winds up, catching a ton of footballs against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then, they're all hunky-dory after the game. But during the game, I don't know if you saw this, you might have been on the flight back to Jacksonville, Nick Sirianni goes over to Jalen Carter. They seem to have a set to. Clint Hurt and Big Dom had a step between them. Then they hug it out. What can you win under these circumstances? Like, did you have these issues when you were playing too, Mark?
They were that talented, or they are that talented. So can they win? Absolutely. And I was talking about it on my show on Fox or FS1 Breakfast Bowl last week, is just that, man, like, I understand wanting to get the football, but there's a way to do it not in front of the media and act like a petulant child, right? In regards to A.J. Brown. So, that's always one of those things that really bothers me. It almost feels like you'd be happy if you got 8 catches for 110 yards and you lost. But only have 2 catches and a win and be upset about it. But listen, I think the argument on the sideline, the dust up between Clint Hurt, their defensive line coach, and Nick Sirianni, like, that stuff happened all the time. And I'll tell you, man, like, there was multiple times over the course of my career in Denver when we were winning back-to-back championships where Alex Gibbs, my offensive line coach, would get pissed off about something. walk outside, call Mike Shanahan into the hallway, and they would have a screaming match at one another.
No kidding.
Or a screaming match on the sideline about how we should be running the ball, and Mike's calling something else. And so those things happen. They're just captured in today's game more than they are back in my day when everybody is, a reporter with the cell phone. So, yeah, those things happen. I don't worry so much about that. I just worry about players not getting along. And you don't want to always get along with everybody that you play with, but guys that are unwilling to sacrifice or create something that really isn't there. When they come out in the press conference, is that what you wanted to see? Jalen Hurts said, and we're fine. I told you, AJ Brown. It wouldn't have come up. We didn't create it. It wasn't a media creation. You guys created it by bickering on the sideline, and then Brandon Graham coming out and saying, oh, yeah, they don't like each other. We didn't create that. We didn't make that up. You guys brought that from your own locker room. So don't get on us about the dysfunction that you guys have in your own locker room.
Last one for you here. You were in Jacksonville calling the game on Fox with Chris Myers. I'm here. You're there. And 9 catches, 198 yards for Devontae Adams, turning back the clock, hot tub time machining it with Aaron Rodgers. Did you get the sense that Rodgers is not done with the Jets, not done, period? What's the general sense you got from that situation with 3 games left?
Yeah,
Mark?
we'll sit with the Rodgers. I sat with Rodgers for, better part of, 30, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that.
Right.
On Saturday night. And listen, he came to the Jets because of Joe Douglas, because of Robert Saleh, because of Nathaniel Hackett. None of those guys are there or going to be there anymore. And so then it comes down to who's the new coaching staff, what's the right situation. Would Aaron Rodgers or will Aaron Rodgers play next year? Possibly. If the right situation presents itself, whether it's the Jets or if it's somebody else. I will say this, Rich, watching him and studying the tape the last 3 weeks, man, he looks like Aaron Rodgers. And watching him practice before the game, watching him practice pregame, dude, he still has elite level arm talent and elite level discernment and understanding of the game. So there's no question about that stuff. He struggled early in the season. He had a hamstring that was really bad that he pulled, had a knee injury that he talked to me about, had an ankle sprain that he talked to me about from that game in London. But I'm telling you, his movement skills aren't what they once were, but he can still move. And I'm telling you, he can still absolutely throw the football. He told me he uncorked 165 yards in practice last week. So don't tell me he can't throw the football. He can still throw it. So then it becomes who wants him and is it the right situation for Aaron? So, yeah, there's a good possibility that he'll be back with the Jets or somewhere next year. There's also a great possibility that he'll drift off and nobody will ever hear from him again. And that's likely as well.
No, you never know. You never know. All right, before I let you go here, you're putting your marker on which team in the NFC? Lions, Eagles, any of the NFC North teams that are in second and third place right now, and the Vikings and the Pack, who had a terrific game against Seattle, the Rams and the Bucks are surging right now.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you
above. What do you got?
There's 2 teams. I'm nervous. Detroit's been my number 1 team since week 1. I thought they were the best team in football. This defense has got me really nervous. The injuries have got me really nervous. I think Philadelphia has become the best team in football. I think they've usurped Detroit. I tell you, the team that nobody wants to play right now, if they get in, if they handle their business, they win out, they're in. That's the Los Angeles Rams. Physical, running the football, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. People don't want to play them right now. So those would be my 2 teams in the NFC that I think, really have a shot.
In the AFC, you put your marker where? On the Bills? You do?
Yeah, okay. I think the Bills have just the way they're playing right now, 30 points in 8 straight games. Josh Allen, just so much confidence. Offensively, they're outstanding.
Where are you going next week? What's your next game?
You know what? We haven't been given our game yet.
Okay. There's so much up in the air. I'm with you too.
There's so much up in the air that we haven't been given our game yet. So I'm like, I'd like to start studying, but that's on them.
I know. I hear you. Hey, say hi to Poolside for me, will you please?
I definitely, Rich, I will let him know you said hey.
I love that story. 85 years up on the roof in Alaska, Poolside. Your dad.
Just shoveling snow, man. Hey, if you saw him, you'd think we were brothers. The guy is absolutely unreal.
I love it. Great story, Mark. Always appreciate the time. Let's do this again real soon, brother. Appreciate it.
Anytime, buddy. Take care.
You got to everybody check out the Stinkin' Truth Pod with Mark Schlereth from Fox Sports right here on the Rich Eisen Show. Great story, right poolside. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern for free.